Hey, welcome to Make It Dairy Free. I am Larisha, and today we are going to be talking about one of my favorite meals to make. But how does a meal get to be one of my personal favorites? So for me, the secret to a meal that I just want to make over and over again is versatility. It needs to be versatile in both the ingredients and the way that it can be used. So today we're going to be making a taco casserole, and I will walk you through both the ways that you can switch it up and make it your own to use every single time. I love this as a dinner, but it's also amazing as an appetizer dish for football parties, tailgates, holiday get-togethers. Toss it into burritos, and so much more. So we're going to start with our rice layer. Now, I have used white rice, brown rice, long grain, short grain. It really does not matter. It is a great way to use up rice that you might have left over in your fridge. You're just going to need about a cup of dried rice, which yields about 3 cups of cooked rice. So today for this recipe, I am using a brown basmati rice and leveling it up a bit by making it our chipotle copycat cilantro lime rice. I'm starting by cooking a cup of rinsed dried rice into 2 cups of vegetable stock, and then I'm adding in some salt, pepper, and a bay leaf, and I'm going to let this cook according to the package instructions until it is completely done. All of the liquid has been absorbed and it is super fluffy. This rice is going to be our bottom layer of our casserole, and I really think the key to making really good meals is layering your flavor into each step of the recipe, whether that is a skillet meal or something like this casserole. And so with this, if you are using something like plain rice or maybe rice that you have left over in your fridge, you can totally just put in some taco seasoning and mix that together, or you can also maybe put some salsa into it and mix that together just to add a little bit more flavor into a plain rice. Once our rice is done and you've fluffed it up a little bit, we are going to add in some fresh chopped cilantro, lemon and lime juice, and some lime zest. Stir all of that together and then set aside if you are still working on other components of the dish. All right, so the next thing that we're going to be doing is making our taco layer. You can do this while the rice is cooking. You don't need to wait for that to be done. When we first went vegan, it was for budget reasons, and I would do this with just beans and corn, and it worked and it was fine. But the great thing about this is that you can completely switch it up. You can clean out your fridge with this part. You can just make it your own. The first thing I'm going to do is shred a block of tofu. The firmer the tofu you get, the better for this. So an extra firm or a super firm tofu works perfectly. You need to press out all the water as much as possible in order for both the marinade to help and also help with the shredding. So you are going to use a tofu press to press out all the water, and then we are just going to shred this with a grater. I like to go slowly, and if any big chunks fall off, no worries. You can either take those back through or just chop it up a little bit with a knife. So the reason we are shredding the tofu is that it mimics the texture of meat really well, but it also provides a bigger surface level in order for the marinade to really soak into that. If you think that this step is too much, you could also just put your block of pressed tofu onto a plate and then mash it down with the back of a fork to make like a crumble. That will also work for this recipe. All right, so once we have our tofu ready, we are going to take a large skillet and add some oil to it. I am doing olive oil, but if you don't do oil, you could also do some vegetable stock here, and then we are going to let that get hot over medium heat. Once it is hot, we are going to then saute our peppers and onions for a few minutes until they are translucent. So that takes about 3 to 4 minutes, and then add our tofu in, and we're going to let that cook for about 2 minutes. And then we're going to add in our garlic and all of our spices and cook those for about 30 to 45 seconds until they are fragrant. Just trying to stir it around, get all that seasoning coated onto our tofu, and also add a little bit of a toastiness or char to our tofu pieces. We're not gonna worry too much about sticking here. We're going to take care of that in just a second. So the next thing after we are cooking our tofu and getting that all nice and seasoned is adding in our tomatoes. And this is where the real magic happens. The juice of these tomatoes, when hitting all of that stuff stuck at the bottom, is that when we use a wooden spatula here or a wooden spoon, it helps get all that stuff that was stuck on the bottom to come right up. So once you have all that up, you are going to go in with your black beans and your corn and some lime juice and stir that all together. and we're just gonna let this cook until everything is heated throughout. So I just wanna give a few tips on this layer. So the reason that we wanna use a large skillet is because it creates more of a surface level, and what this does is allow all of our ingredients to get nice and toasty, not steam, and provide enough space for it to actually saute the right way and get that little sear on each of the ingredients. I also made my own taco seasoning for this recipe, which allows me to control each of the different ingredients and allow more or less of each thing. Maybe I don't want as much chili powder or I want more cumin. This allows me to do that. However, if you are trying to make this easier on yourself, you can just use a packet of store-bought taco seasoning. This is also one of the most versatile parts of the entire recipe. You can switch up the beans if you want, maybe do a pinto bean or a cannellini bean instead, kidney beans. You can also add in like a jalapeno if you want some more spice here. Instead of the tomatoes, maybe you don't want that like chunkiness of the tomato, you could do either tomato sauce or you could do some salsa. That will also help scrape up that stuff at the bottom. And you can also add in more veggies, clean out your fridge. You can add so many things into this particular layer that either bulk it up or just make it your own. The last part of what we are going to do for this recipe is make a vegan nacho cheese sauce, and it's super easy to do. Into a high-speed blender, we're going to be adding butter beans, diced jalapenos, non-dairy milk, nutritional yeast, vegan butter, oat flour or oats if you have a high-speed blender, fresh lemon juice, and all of our spices, and then we're just blending this for 3 or 4 minutes until it is smooth and creamy. I just wanna say that this layer is completely optional. I love the fact that it is not as processed as a bagged cheese, and also just love all of the flavor that you get out of making this cheese sauce. However, you could also just add vegan cheese shreds right on top of it, or as I was thinking about making this, I was like, or you could add the shredded cheese and then serve the nacho cheese sauce on the side, so you're doubling up the cheese, and maybe that's what I should have done. So now it's time to put all of this together now that we have all of our components ready. Into a 9x13 casserole dish, we are going to start by layering all of our rice at the bottom, and you really want to smooth this out into one even layer. Then on top of that, we are going to add a layer of warm refried beans, which is the only thing that I haven't shown in this video yet. Then we are going to carefully spread out our taco layer. Again, we want to make sure that this is all spread out into one even layer. And then finally, our cheese layer. Whichever method you decide to do with that, either throw some shredded cheese over top of it or pour on our sauce. And then we are going to bake this at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. Really, you just want to heat all of those layers together, and if you are using shredded cheese instead of the cheese sauce, we want to get that melty. Then we are going to pull it out and it's all done. So the toppings on this come out is another place where you get to be versatile in whatever you decide, or be creative in whatever you decide. You can put tomatoes, lettuce, guacamole, avocado slices, black olives, red onions. Seriously, you can get so creative, switch it up every single time. I love just, being creative at this part and using whatever we have on hand. It doesn't have to be like thought out or methodical or anything. It's just super easy just to do whatever you have. I do also want to mention that there are times when we have made this, seriously, I've been making this for probably a decade at this point, where it doesn't even get to the casserole layer. We just end up making tacos or burritos or something like that with it. That is totally an option to do as well. Just making the casserole though is vital to me when maybe I'm trying to meal prep for the week, or I'm trying to take something to like a party or a holiday get together or a tailgate, where I want to make sure that we as vegans have enough food. So between the rice and the bean layers and everything, it really makes it filling and makes sure that my family has enough food, but also it is a creative dish that is super easy to serve with chips or veggies or something like that on the side that people can also enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you could leave a comment below and let me know how you plan to switch it up to make it your own. I would love to hear how you're planning to do this. The full recipe can be found linked in the description, but it is also on our website, makeitdairyfree.com. You can just search for taco casserole. You can also Google Make It Dairy Free taco casserole and the recipe will come right up for you. I will see you in the next video and I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye.